A massive fireball exploded over a Russian town more than 700 miles away from the front line, as Ukrainian drones reminded everyone that Russia's war machine isn't untouchable. This wasn't just an isolated attack, it's part of Ukraine's bold strategy to hit key military targets and infrastructure targets deep inside Russia.
Deeper and deeper.
So, what are the prime targets? The most desirable ones would be Rostov-on-Don and Novocherkassk, and here's why. It's no secret that Ukraine has eyes in the skies, literally. Thanks to the intelligence shared by its Western partners, Ukraine can keep tabs on some of Russia's most critical military operations. While the specific nature of this intelligence is shrouded in secrecy, it's believed that Ukraine has access to real-time updates on Russian movements, from strategic planning to the moment a bomber takes off headed for Ukrainian airspace. But what makes this intelligence game-changing is the ability to pinpoint high-value Russian command centers, like those in Rostov-on-Don and Novocherkassk, which are crucial to controlling operations in southern Ukraine. A place like Novocherkassk, once an abandoned military site, now is a buzzing hub of Russian operations, just 124 miles from the front lines. Rostov-on-Don, meanwhile, serves as another critical node. What would happen if Ukraine decided to take these strategic brains of the Russian military out of the equation? In early April, Ukraine did exactly that. In a joint operation conducted by its security service and military, Ukraine struck the Morozovsk military base in the Rostov region. The result? Official sources confirm the Su-34 was definitely taken out, while others suggest up to 6 Russian warplanes were destroyed, with 8 more damaged. And these weren't just any planes. Russia's Su-24 and Su-34 tactical bombers, key to launching guided bomb strikes on Ukrainian forces. Disabling these assets isn't just a blow to the Russian Air Force, it sends shockwaves through their entire military coordination. By hitting Morozovsk again, Ukraine would aim to further cripple Russia's ability to launch airstrikes, maintaining pressure and ensuring that this key asset doesn't return to full operational capacity. But disrupting command is just the start. What about Russia's key economic lifelines? And here's where we uncover our next high-value target for Ukrainians. The Kerch Strait has become a strategic lifeline in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, especially after Ukraine strikes on the Kerch Bridge. This bridge, which once handled daily military supplies, has been heavily damaged, leaving Russian forces dependent on ferries to transport military equipment, ammunition, and other vital resources across the strait. Since November 2022, Russia has utilized ferries for military logistics across the Kerch Strait. This reliance grew after Ukraine significantly disrupted the Kerch Bridge's military use with precision strikes. For instance, before these strikes, as many as 46 trains per day, including those carrying weapons and ammunition. Now, the bridge can only support around 5 trains, 4 of which are for passengers. In response, Russia increased the use of civilian ferries, such as the Conro Trader and Avangard, which operate between Russian-held Crimea and the Russian mainland. These ferries have become critical targets for Ukraine. On May 30th, Ukrainian forces hit these ferries with ATACMs missiles, damaging 2 vessels. And on June 4th, another strike disrupted a ferry crossing and an oil terminal in the Krasnodar Krai. And just like these precise strikes, your likes and subscriptions help us hit the mark with more videos on the latest topics. So if you're enjoying the content, hit that like button. By targeting these ferries, Ukraine aims to disrupt Russian supply lines further. According to reports, from May 20th to 24th alone, Russian ferries made 70 crossings, transporting over 2,400 vehicles, 436 railway cars, and over 3,600 passengers. These crossings included military supplies, though official reports omit those details. After the strikes, crossings decreased significantly, highlighting the logistical strain on Russian forces. Moreover, Ukraine's naval kamikaze drones have been highly effective. They sank VDK-type landing ships, such as the Caesar Kunikov, which Russia had been using to ferry military supplies across the strait. These successful attacks forced Russia to abandon this practice, further hampering their logistics. Ukraine's continued pressure on the Kerch Strait could cripple Russia's war efforts in Crimea and southern Ukraine. The disruption of these ferry routes restricts Russian military mobility, reducing the ability to sustain its forces in key areas. If Ukraine succeeds in cutting off these supply lines entirely, it could significantly shift the balance of power, putting Russia's operations in Crimea in jeopardy. Successfully targeting both the bridge and the ferry crossing again would not only choke off Russian supplies to Crimea, but also jeopardize the entire occupation effort, further weakening Russia's foothold in the region. But cutting off supply lines to Crimea is one thing. But what if Ukraine aims at Russia's arms industry? Take the Kalashnikov plant in Izhevsk, for example. This is where Russia's most iconic and widely used weapons, like the AK-47, are born. It's not just about the rifles, though. Modern variants and other advanced small arms for Russian infantry come from here, arming the soldiers at the front lines. Now, picture what would happen if this production was halted. The Russian troops, dependent on these arms, would feel the squeeze. No more steady flow of rifles into the conflict, just a waiting game as Russia scrambles to recover. Then there's the Almaz anti-facilities in Moscow. This isn't just any factory. It's where Russia's advanced air defense systems like the S-400 and the S-300 are built. These missile systems are the backbone of Russia's air defenses and long-range strike capabilities. Imagine the impact if these facilities were taken out of the equation. The production of these critical systems could be delayed, putting Russia's air defense strategy in jeopardy, exposing vulnerabilities, and weakening its grip on missile warfare in Ukraine. Tell us in the comments, how big of an impact do you think this will have on Russia's air power? In September 2024, Ukraine dealt Russia a series of devastating blows that sent shockwaves across the battlefield and deep into Russia's military-industrial complex. The strikes targeted some of Russia's most important military facilities, shattering the illusion of safety that Moscow once enjoyed. The scale and precision of these attacks signaled a turning point, as Ukraine had begun to demonstrate its capability to take the fight deep into Russian territory. So why are these facilities so crucial to Russia's war effort? And how has Ukraine's ability to hit them affected the course of the war? One of the most significant strikes occurred at the 107th Arsenal in Tver, a vital hub located 300 miles from the Ukrainian border. This was not just any military depot. It housed some of Russia's most advanced rockets and air defense interceptors, crucial to Russia's ability to maintain air superiority and protect its assets from Ukrainian attacks. The destruction of this arsenal, along with munitions sourced from North Korea, was catastrophic, likened to a small earthquake or nuclear blast by witnesses. The sheer size of the blast hints at the value and volume of the munitions stored there. Repeating these strikes would further weaken Russia's ability to defend its airspace and supply its troops, keeping Ukraine one step ahead in disrupting Russia's war machine. It doesn't stop here. There are other examples where Ukrainians got huge success by targeting prime facilities. The Tikhoretsk munition storage facility in Krasnodar, which was hit shortly after, is another critical node in Russia's military supply chain. As a distribution hub for munitions, its destruction means that Russian forces will face significant shortages in the near term. The fact that Ukraine could reach such locations hundreds of miles deep in Russian territory underscores its growing long-range strike capabilities. This is a major tactical win for Ukraine, as it cripples Russia's ability to resupply its forces, particularly those fighting in Ukraine. The success of these deep strikes is the result of Ukraine's increasingly sophisticated drone program, which has evolved dramatically throughout the war. Kyiv's arsenal of homemade unmanned aerial bombs, including both reconnaissance and combat drones, has given it the ability to strike at strategic Russian targets with precision. These drones are relatively cheap to produce, often costing just a few $100s, but their impact is monumental. Using a mix of first-person view drones and long-range unmanned aerial systems, Ukraine is able to bypass traditional air defense systems. FPV drones aim to clear the path by taking out Russian air defense systems, and once the path is cleared, Ukrainian long-range drones follow. But there's another target that could disrupt Russia's global influence altogether: cyber and communication infrastructure. Russia's military operations are heavily reliant on intricate communication networks, such as the GLONASS satellite system and the Kremlin's extensive digital framework. Disrupting these networks could send shockwaves through Russia's ability to coordinate troop movements and gather intelligence. In fact, it could destabilize not just military operations, but also civilian communication systems across the nation. Imagine the chaos that would ensue if Russia's command infrastructure was brought to its knees, an event that could drastically alter the landscape of the war. Now, let's take a moment to consider the implications of a successful cyber strike. If Ukraine manages to infiltrate Russia's communication infrastructure, it could effectively paralyze the Kremlin's military coordination. troops would be left in the dark, unable to receive orders or share crucial intelligence. This would be a significant blow to Russia, throwing its military operations into disarray. Recent reports from the Royal United Services Institute, RUSI, shed light on Russia's increasing collaboration with China in 5G and satellite technology. This partnership could bolster Moscow's military capabilities against Ukraine, making a cyber attack even more critical. With enhanced access to Western technology and intelligence, Ukraine is not just defending its borders, it's gaining the capability to strike deeper into the heart of Russia. This capability could fundamentally change the war's trajectory, especially as Russia's security vulnerabilities become more pronounced with each passing day. Recent developments highlight Ukraine's growing precision in long-range strikes. Armed with advanced weaponry, including the Advanced Medium-Range Air-to-Air Missiles AMRAAM promised by President Biden, Ukraine's F-16s are poised to intercept Russian aircraft before they can unleash their destructive glide bombs. This shift in firepower is significant. Ukraine is no longer just reacting to attacks, but proactively reaching out to eliminate threats before they can manifest. As Ukraine expands its operational reach, it raises an important question. How will Russia respond? The longer this conflict drags on, the more concerned Russia becomes. As Ukrainian strikes target high-value assets within Russia, the Kremlin is compelled to adopt a more defensive posture. This shift could lead to a reallocation of resources and personnel, which would ultimately reshape the battlefield dynamics in Ukraine's favor. Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel for new updates.